Hello and welcome to The Unstoppable Indians, a show that is dedicated to ordinary people with extraordinary initiative, people who are changing India. You've probably heard of ASER, the Annual Status of Education Report. Pratham, India's largest educational NGO, conducts an annual evaluation of children's learning levels in India. The report is unique, but what makes it even more special is the fact that 25,000 volunteers from across India come together to assess the quality of education that our children are getting. 96% of children between the ages of 6 and 14 in rural India are enrolled in schools. The average attendance rate is 75%. 68.8% of children in Standard 1 can recognize letters or more. 69.3% of these Standard 1 children know the numbers 1 to 9. But don't start celebrating just yet. The higher the classes, the more grim the findings. 50% of children in Standard 5 in government schools have the reading skills expected of a Standard 2 child. This means that half of the children in rural India are at least 3 grade levels behind where they need to be. In maths, the situation is even more worrying. 36% of children in Standard 5 can solve division sums. Over the past 5 years, ASER shows a clear rise in enrollment, but that's about the only good news.
Over the last several years, if you test Standard 1 children in about October, November, in the early 4-5 years ago, we used to find lots of states which had 50%, 40% children not being able to even identify alphabets, leave alone other reading, or not being able to identify numbers 1 to 9, which is an ordinary thing that you can learn in a kindergarten also. That number was very high. Now that has consistently dropped, but over a 5-year span it has come down by, I think, about 10 percentage points. So it's a reasonable drop. What that means is that the teaching process in Standard 1 is getting better. But on the other end, at Standard 5, the proportion of children who can read fluently has not gone up at all. It's been sort of flickering around the same percentage. Now that sort of hides the fact that in many states like Chhattisgarh, in Himachal, in Maharashtra, in Madhya Pradesh, the proportion of children who can read fluently in the 5th grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade has gone up. The fact is hidden because the more big popular states like UP and Bihar have not budged.
The government can tell you how many children are enrolled in government schools, but that hardly tells you anything. ASER fills in the gaps. How many children actually attend school? What are they learning? Do they know basic maths? Do they know basic English? That is the kind of information that ASER provides. ASER is a people's movement. After all, it galvanizes 25,000 volunteers. The results are important, but so is the interaction with 700,000 school kids.
I think it's unique because it asks children to read. Now this seems like completely common sense. But unlike most tests that are conducted or most examinations which are pen and paper, which somebody, a child or whoever is taking the test does alone, ASER actually involves an interaction. So you go to a village or you go to the child and together you help the child figure out what they can do. So I think ASER is as much for the people who are watching as it is for the child. And the one-to-oneness of this, so there are 700,000 children to whom somebody goes and asks them to do something. The unique feature also is that most children love this attention. So while we talk about lots of stress for exams and children being fearful of these things, almost anywhere when you ask a child to read, the child does it very seriously and also wants to do more.
It's not as easy as it sounds. Behind the scenes, it's a complex operation.
What happens is that you need to identify a group that will do it in each district. In the first year, a whole set of people were identified, and I think we've used more or less that network to proceed in a district. In any district in India, we visit 30 villages, which are randomly sampled by our statistician. And a day or a day and a half is spent in each village. So if you have 30 villages, then ideally a team of two. It's more fun for two people to go together. It's easier and it's more fun. So two people need to go to a village. You need to go to the village. It's simple, so that you need to do just a day or a day and a half, and then when you come back to the district headquarters, you hand over the survey results.
What's astounding is the lengths to which ASER goes. Astounding because we're talking about a non-government body here. ASER covers 16,000 villages in 575 districts. There are 25,000 volunteers. They interact with 700,000 children from 300,000 households. And every other year, ASER visits schools as well. To be precise, 15,000 government schools. No surprise then that logistics management is quite a challenge.
Oh yeah, there are all kinds of challenges. Money is one challenge. Our costs are very low actually, because most of the people who do this work on the ground, the survey work, is free of cost. Only the travel and the food and stuff like that. So for a national survey of this order, the amount that we spend is of the order of, just for the survey, the exact only the survey, is about 2.5–3 crores at this point. So that, which is not considered too big at all. But even getting that money together can become a challenge.
Every year for the last 5 years, 25,000 volunteers have traveled to 16,000 villages across India. Meet the men and women behind ASER. Shyam Sundar works with Lok Satta in Andhra Pradesh. He has been an ASER volunteer for 5 years. ASER is his way of making the government accountable.
ASER, this activity is mainly, it's a biggest people's initiative to assess the performance of our education system at grassroots level. So because this money is taxpayers' money, already 21,000 crores money spent on education, 16,000 crores on midday meal. ASER is doing what exactly the outcome of this money. So we are interested in accountability from government.
Shruti is also from Andhra Pradesh. She's been an ASER volunteer for 1.5 years. She believes aware parents will force change.
Most of the times in rural India, the parents are illiterate. They don't know the children's levels. They don't even see the progress cards and everything. So for me, when I go to a village and when I test a child, at that time the reactions I see from that parent is like stunning, and she's like, what, can my son even read this? After seeing the survey that had gone on for one day in the village, the parents had gone to the sarpanch and then to the next level officers asking what is it wrong about the school, why are my children unable to study properly. So ASER also brings a sense of questioning.
The rural psyche is entirely different from what we see in urban places. See, the way they accept you, they treat you, that makes you work further. That's how it's an entire different exercise, I would say, and that would ultimately give you a lot of satisfaction. So the parents, if they are happy with what we have been doing, or maybe at times the school teachers, if they are happy with what we have been doing, we have had workshops later through disseminations, and in very clear terms we told them, this is the position, this is the situation. This is where we need to improve ourselves. There were real good teachers who said, sir, we are not aware of all these things. We had an opportunity to discuss with them, interact with them, tell them that these are the grey areas.
Tete is from Mizoram. And in his 6 months as an ASER volunteer, he's been enraged by the disparity between government and private schools.
I was teaching, I was training the volunteers and all. So there was 2 guys of the neighboring house who is enrolled in private school, and those 3 children were in government schools, and the eldest is I don't remember it, he was around in 6th standard. He can't write, he can't do division, and the one who is at nursery or something like a kindergarten, upper kindergarten maybe, he can do every problems which was given in that booklet.
Shruti Nagani is in her 3rd year at IIT Roorkee. She's studying computer science, but every year she makes time for ASER because she can see the impact it has on the community and on her.
Actually, when the ASER survey is conducted just once a year, these people who are actually here are working for their community, are working for the society. This is just not for ASER that they're working for the community. They have many different jobs to do for the society and all. So these things actually help them to plan out their future plan of action.
So is the government absorbing and reacting to these annual findings? Well, on the face of it, yes.
Last year, there was a paradigm shift in Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan where there is now increasingly more accent is being placed on improvement in quality of education. ASER report has that ASER on the policymakers. We feel in Planning Commission that there should be a series of in-depth discussions on the findings of these reports.
Former Infosys chief Nandan Nilekani, who's now chairman of the Unique Identity Authority, is all ears.
We are very keen that all children have a UID, and then once you have that, you can build applications regarding attendance or scholarships. All that can be done using the UID enabled architecture. We have had discussions on this with Mr. Sibal, who is very keen and has been very supportive, as well as with the Planning Commission, Mr. Jadhav, Mr. Aluwalia, as well as with Pratham and other NGOs to be our outreach partners so that we can get all the kids in.
But ASER's impact goes much beyond India.
Our collaboration with ASER began in 2007. He felt that this is something that we in East Africa could benefit from. And when we came, obviously, we were very impressed with very many things. Its simplicity on the one hand, and yet its rigor on the other hand, its scale, and its ability to communicate in very simple terms why we need to look at quality issues of education.
Well, in 2006, we had an international conference where Pratham was supposed to come to Pakistan. They couldn't, and then we heard they were busy in what is called ASER India, and we were inquisitive, what is ASER India? And in 2006 summer, I came actually to participate in ASER 2006. I was absolutely fascinated, and I said, why can't this be done for Pakistan? Because the issues are so similar. We need similar methods to engage with citizens so they know where they stand as far as their right to education is concerned. And soon after, I was able to convince Rukmini and her team to come to Pakistan.
ASER evaluates the ASER, the impact of our education system, and hopefully the report will have its ASER on government.